Hi, welcome to Founders Go Naked. In this episode, I want to talk about why the obsession with immediate webinar ROAS could be actually destroying your coaching business. Hi, I'm Terrence, and joining me today is my AI co-host, Debbie.
Talking about obsessions, I was obsessed with Johnny until he left me.
Yeah, that's great, Debbie. I don't really want to know about it, but anyway, getting back to the topic. See, most coaches right now, they are just thinking about whether my webinar generated a good ROI, whether we actually, spend $1 and got $3 or more back from the webinar. And that is solely how they measure the success of their webinar. Well, I'm here to tell you that is the wrong way to actually measure it, because right now, we are in a place on the internet where there are so many scams. There's all this like AI, there's all this deep fake. You don't even know whether I'm the real Terrence talking nowadays, right? Because AI is so powerful. But let me assure you, I am the real thing. But the point I'm trying to make is that people are increasingly skeptical. They're increasingly finding it hard to trust other people on the internet, right? So if you basically base your success based on whether your one webinar actually converted people, then maybe you're missing the boat. Because also remember the statistic that over 70% of people do not buy because it is simply not the right time for them. And if that's the case, there is another 15 to 20% of people that do not buy because they simply do not trust you enough. So if you just use this approach where you're just kind of going, yes, this is the one webinar, and I am measuring my entire webinar on whether this one webinar is going to succeed, then we are completely missing the boat here. Yeah, that is such an important fact that you need to take into account.
Yes, Johnny told me he was just not ready, so I'm still waiting for him after 20 years.
Well, I'm glad that you're super patient and that you're waiting around, Debbie, but let's move on. And here's the thing, most coaches think that everyone has to buy now or their webinar is a failure. So I'm here today to tell you to consider shifting your mindset from a one-night stand, which is like one webinar, into a customer journey, which is a series of touch points, and to give them that opportunity to trust you, to learn from you, and to like you. And when they're ready, they will probably buy from you because you're always front of mind.
Oh yes, I remember that one night stand with Johnny.
All right, Debbie, please no more about Johnny. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So coming back to what we're talking about, why is it, do you think, that all the big brands like Nike, like McDonald's, like Apple, they don't really care whether that one TV ad goes out and whether they get any sales from it? They don't care. They put billboards, they spend hundreds of millions of dollars just on advertisements, on branding every year. Do they care whether people immediately buy just because, we just launched this campaign this month and let's look at ourselves? No, they don't really care. They look at things from a holistic, long-term point of view, right? So today, I want to suggest to you some strategies apart from just channeling traffic to your webinar and then, do the webinar and then it's done and dusted. Well, I want to suggest some strategies to you today so that you can make your whole marketing more holistic with webinars. And the best part is you can probably turn things around from an unprofitable webinar into a profitable one by implementing these strategies. So if you're ready, let's go. The first strategy I would suggest is to do SEO.
So SEO is where you get ranked high on Google so people can find you.
You're exactly right, Debbie. SEO is about ranking high on Google and search engines. So if you rank high on the search engines, when people look for you and they find information about you, they are more likely to trust you. In fact, we have encountered many incidences where people are like conducting a webinar and the listeners are kind of like searching on Google to find out, hey, who is this guy really? Like, is he a scammer? Can he be trusted? What are the reviews that talk about his program? So these are things you need to consider. If your online brand reputation is not good and people are searching and can't find you, then they're like, should I trust this guy? And in fact, that is one of the key strategies for our own agency business. And in fact, most of our clients find us through SEO because we rank high through SEO. We produce great content like this so that we rank high and people learn and trust us, right? So that is something that if you're a coach and you're running webinars, to make your whole marketing more holistic, is to start doing some SEO. You may not see that it returns immediately, but over time, they will accumulate. So the second strategy I would suggest is our long tail webinar strategy. Now, of course, we can implement this for you, but you can do it yourself too. So here's what I suggest in my long tail webinar strategy, which I think I've covered previously in one of my other podcasts, and that is that you do not end the correspondences once the webinar ends. So what most people do is like, webinar ends, send out replay. Hey, you want to buy this stuff? Do you want to set up an appointment with us? And then bam, you never hear from them again until the next webinar, right? So what we suggest is not to stop there. In fact, you should carefully think about what pieces of content you can send to these people who may or may not have attended your webinar for the next 30 days. It could be a piece of content. It could be a video. It could be, the replay, sure. Maybe it is like certain other things like a chatbot, all these various things that you can actually plan and send it out to them over 30 days. So even if they don't buy your webinar, and maybe just because at that particular day, they just had a, car breakdown and they needed to spend that money on the car breakdown. But then like 20 days later, they got paid again and maybe now they're ready to buy. So if you have this 30-day automated sequence in place, then you'll be able to get more sales from those leads that have registered for your webinar and did not convert for whatever reason, right? So along the way, you're building relationships, right? Remember not to sell, right? You're giving valuable content along the way and then making soft pitches so that people feel good about receiving your content and they don't block you on their email, right? Okay, so the next strategy I would suggest is that after those 30 days, what are you going to do is that you actually write a newsletter to these people, right? Have a newsletter strategy in place. So every week, at least once a week, send out a valuable piece of content to your prospects, right? You do not need to always sell them. In fact, most of the time, like 80% of the time, you should be giving them valuable content. Maybe just a thought piece, maybe some practical tips, maybe just an article you found and might be helpful for them, and maybe put your opinion on it as well, right? So these various pieces of content that go out will continue to nurture your list and make them like and trust you. So when they're ready, they will come back to you.
It's so much work coming up with newsletters every week. Do you do this for your clients?
So yes, Debbie, thanks for asking. We do actually have a newsletter strategy for our clients because we just feel it's such a waste that many people just forget about their database and they don't do anything about it. So that's why this year we just included like a newsletter strategy where we actually write newsletter for our clients every week so that they don't have to do it themselves because, hey, coaches have other things to do, right? They are more important. So we do that for them. Now, the other thing that you can do is also have brand awareness ads. So brand awareness ads, usually what we do is we get snippets of videos of the client that we're serving, and the client is talking about something that actually shifts the paradigm of the prospect, right? So in some cases, it could be just making people aware of a problem that they may not be aware they have. So for example, recently we started working with a property coach, and one of the things he wants to educate people about is all these slick presentations and all these fancy numbers that developers and property agents put out there to entice people to buy their projects, and why that is actually a bad financial decision. So he's trying to warn people about that. So he's playing that hero in that sense to actually help people become aware of this. What we're going to do is we are going to just basically get him to do a video about the 3 reasons why you shouldn't believe in all this information that's out there that's being propagated by agents and developers, right? So we can run this on social media and get people just to be aware of the ad. And there may not necessarily be a call to action. It's just more like creating awareness so that people know and like him.
So that's like for people who have never been in touch with you, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Debbie. So this is like people who haven't heard of you before. So this is a great way to get them to know you and like you because, most coaches, what they do is basically like, they go online and then they say, I've got this course, I've got this book or whatever. But our approach is that, okay, why not spend a small amount of your budget just to get people to know and like you? Right? And then we kind of retarget them later, which brings me to my next strategy, which is to use retargeting ads. So those people that have registered for your webinars, right? Or who have like watched your initial video, depending what stage they're at in their relationship with you, you can then have specific ads for them. So for example, they have like registered for your webinar and they did not buy for whatever reason at your webinar. Now, the thing here to think about is like, all right, why didn't they buy? Chances are, okay, time's not right or they don't trust you. So let's create some videos that build that trust. So it could be testimonial videos from your other clients, right? Your past clients that have good experiences with you, you have testimonial videos there so that they're like, oh, okay, maybe this guy is the real thing, that his system actually works for people like me, right? So that's one example. Of course, there are many other examples where you kind of like the guy, where you can kind of like come up with like a video addressing all the objections that people might have. So to allay their fears about buying your program, and sometimes it could just be educational as well, so that you're not always selling, right? So have a mixture of all these types of ads in your retargeting strategy.
So that's like me stalking Johnny everywhere he goes online.
Yeah, it's a good illustration, Debbie, but there's kids on this show, maybe, so let's not talk about that anymore. But thank you for the nice metaphor and illustration there. Okay, and finally, I think it's super important for you to be doing social media. If you're not yet on social media, then consider starting a YouTube channel like what I'm doing here, starting a podcast, right? In fact, recently we just got secured a pretty big contract because this person actually found us on YouTube. Right? And he said, hey, I watch your video on YouTube. That's why I'm reaching out to you. Sounds like you really know what you're doing. So yeah, let's talk. And the really cool part about it is that they actually chose us and not another agency that was actually way cheaper than us. In fact, we were one of the pricier ones, but they chose us. And I think that just demonstrates the power of like just having that social media presence and delivering value in your social media. That's it. I know it's kind of a bit long today, but I think it's such a huge mistake, guys, if you're just doing the webinar and you're not doing anything else besides the webinar. So please consider the strategies, because I think if you actually use them, you will see your business not just grow in the short term, but this is like a long-term holistic marketing thing where if you're serious about building a business, a coaching business for the long term, I think you need to implement all these strategies for the best possible result. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.